I'm here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are W.A.R, Mike Geary, Travis Barrington, and we've got a special guest here with us tonight. Sean,
Yes,
would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
My name is Sean Carnell. I'm the owner and CEO of a nonprofit for veterans called Sit Rep Critical.
Excellent. And I'll get that added to the scroll as we go on. So tonight we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the oftentimes ugly in the nonprofit world, where a lot of good intentions wind up turning into failed missions, causing people to lose faith in a organization or a cause, and can do a lot more damage than help if people don't set up what they want to do properly and actually follow through on what their mission statement says that they're going to do.
Well, I mean, we have a guest here, so we'll let him opine. But one of my things, Mike, we talked about this. I just think there's a correction coming. I think for the last 10, 15 years, if you slap veteran and a picture of a Navy SEAL on your, nonprofit banner, people just opened their wallets and gave money. And I think a reckoning's coming. I think people are like, wait a minute, we've been giving all this money. What's actually going on? And with the advent of the internet and other things, it's easier than ever to find out what a nonprofit's up to. So that's my view. I think there's good nonprofits too, absolutely, but I just think there's a correction coming. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
I could be like, I'm going to hop right into it.
Yeah,
I'm on the same page with both you guys. Travis, you and I have talked a bunch about a whole slew of things and companies. Mike, same thing. Like as it is currently right now, this next week, I myself, I got $18,000 worth of scholarships for 4 to 5 veterans to go down to Texas because we all do podcasting. I have a podcast studio. I do a lot of podcasting. So I listen to podcasts all day. And a lot of us might listen to Sean Ryan or this or that or other veterans. Mike dropped podcasts I just listened to today. And I first started hearing about veterans going to do ibogaine and bufo and psilocybin retreats, and that's what I got those scholarships for. Right? There's a phrase in the veterans industry that I can't stand more than anything. And I think Travis was kind of saying it without saying it. Suicide prevention, right? There are so many nonprofits in Massachusetts that are fighting over each other for this small little part of a space. And they talk about how they do suicide prevention. Okay. But if I'm going to a bike ride and I'm buying T-shirts and I'm buying a ticket and I'm doing a 5K and I'm buying a ticket and I'm buying, that model has been so overused. And it's like, well, what are you actually doing for suicide prevention, right? By me taking these veterans down to go see a shaman, vomit the first day on 3 different types of medicine, do psilocybin the second day, and then do 5-MeO DMT, or ibogaine or bufo. Heroin addicts get taken down there and they never do heroin again, right? That is suicide prevention. By doing the veterans cases that I do to make sure they get their benefits, because we all know how a veteran feels when they don't get their benefits, they don't feel worthy, or the first stop that they go to is to a town VSO, which I've talked to you guys extensively, that they can't legally do anything because they're not accredited, they don't have the computer system. By getting them their funds, which is also getting them their health benefits up so they can get seen, and also relieve that stress. That is suicide prevention. Working with a service dog program, I've placed 5 service dogs this year, right? That is suicide prevention. Okay. So I couldn't be more annoyed with the phrase, suicide prevention and awareness, or we're all aware. It's been going on for 20 something years. What are you actually doing about it? And I've been doing these documentaries, and I have a couple of them. I can upload one to the page after of this retreat with other veterans in it. Um, that I just feel like that's the real work that needs to be happening. And there's so many nonprofits in Massachusetts. We're taking one to court because someone stole a service dog from us when we have a contract. You know what I mean? And they're supposedly in the veterans community, and it's just, there's so much infighting in this state. I feel like that's why I go do my stuff. What is this nonprofit outside of Mass doing? Because everybody in Mass seems to be doing the same thing. So I'm on the same page with both you guys, and that's just like a little bit of what I'm doing. And like, I like to actually do the suicide prevention instead of just come to my event, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy. What am I buying, right? Because it's just like a fireman or a police officer when they go to a call. They get up, they're cool for one day, they get down. What is that one day doing? Maybe it is doing something for some people, but I want that continued. I don't want the wave going like this. I want it going like this. So, I mean, that's just my brief spit on it, and then Mike, I'll let you take it from here.
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I've seen is people aren't understanding when they donate and what the funds are going to. Like the big thing that I was seeing yesterday when I was looking into all this was that the way people word how the programs are funded is completely different from nonprofit to nonprofit. You can see like DAV puts out like a mailer, and other nonprofits would call a mailer a fundraiser because you've got the DAV logo, you've got the website, donate funds here, you've got the QR code, everything like that. But because it lists their website and a little paragraph, they call that a program. So when they do their talliation at the end of the year, they're saying that 91% of the funds that come in go back out to the programs, but in reality, it's only 76% because those mailers aren't really a program. And so it's things like that can really get people to not be as willing to give to these programs, especially in light of everything that happened with Wounded Warrior Project and their completely bloated organization, and what happened, how much they were spending on putting money out to raise money versus on the actual programs themselves.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then I'll kick it to Travis right after, like, and I'll give him a little bit of a layup because we've all seen it. Like that company HeroDog.com. Okay, like we sell bracelets, and it goes towards a veteran getting a service dog. If you actually go down their website, you realize that you click down to the dog company, and the dog company says they don't have any dogs. And it's like, okay, so that company's making, as a nonprofit, you can keep 80% and give 20%, but like, the 20%, wherever they're sending it, isn't going towards service dogs, and 80% is just going towards them.
Well, that's why. That's one of the things that got me thinking that the correction's coming. You start looking at it from a financial crimes perspective, and nonprofits, especially veteran ones, are great places to launder money. And I've looked at a couple of nonprofits this year. It was very weird. Like, hey, we had this event, and we spent X number of dollars on tables and chairs and stuff like that. And then you look at the company that provided tables and chairs and dug a little deeper. Well, that company is related to one of the board members, and that line item on that expense was $20,000 to provide tables and chairs for 200 people. And I'm like, I wasn't born last night.
It didn't cost that much, yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay, they're not. It smells, but I'm like, an attorney general for a state is not going to put their political life on the line for something that's not really big. It has to be, to Mike's point, like Wounded Warrior big for people to pay attention to it. And for a lot of people, they've forgotten about that whole thing. Wounded Warrior did
I
very
never
good
did.
PR.
500 million? Come on. Like, oh.
A lot of people don't know it still, though. The other people think that they're up and up, and I'm like, no, they got away with the cookie jar and the cookies and the batter and the crumbs and the rolling pin for a long time. So I just think that for donors, it's going to rely on donors becoming more educated and saying, hey, I'm tired of buying. To your point, Sean, what are you actually doing?
Mm. Mike?
I've got a couple of images here I want to be able to throw up on the screen real quick. I got from charity Watchdog, and I'm going to throw them up as overlays. See if they are going to be readable on the screen.
Sean, what do you look for in a nonprofit before you decide to support them or do anything with them?
First and foremost, like for example, I met with Freedom Labs, was over Vankavaka. It's Swedish commands. And right when I meet with somebody, the person that put me in contact with them, I said, all right, let's have a meeting, but don't give them my phone number. Because if I want to walk away from this meeting because it's shit, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And they're one of the first companies for service dogs in the state of Mass. I was like, okay, like they know their stuff. I myself have it written into my bylaws that, I just discussed the 80-20, where like a nonprofit, people don't realize you can keep 80%, right? I have it flipped. I just want to keep 20%. I take no paycheck. If we have to fly and go somewhere, which we've done many, many times this year, um, I have an employee, and the 20% is what we keep. The 80% is what we give out, and I collect no paycheck. I don't get flights. No, I'm sorry. The only thing I get is flights, and if we have to get a hotel, but usually like I'll just end up figuring something out. No per diem. I pay for my own food, and that's because like if I'm helping a veteran and it's with their benefits, what am I going to take their benefits for? I already have mine. That's not right. You know what I mean? So I have it written in my nonprofit that I get no paycheck as the owner. The only people that get paid is my employee because he has to edit, film, travel. Travis, you're in that world too. Like how tedious editing can be. You know what I mean? Like that's usually just the brunt of our costs. But 80% goes to the veteran. So if I'm going to work with a company and they have that 80% that they keep themselves and 20% goes to the veterans, right off the rip, I'm just like, no, I'm not working with you. I'm just not doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's got to be at least 51-49 at the very least. It has to be. You have to do this work because you love it, not because you're trying to make a buck off of somebody that already busted their ass, broke their body, destroyed their emotions, and they have trauma from it. I'm not going to take anything more from that person. I'm going to try to give back to that person. You know what I mean? So anytime I engage with a company, like those are the things I'm looking for, along with body language. Do they seem like they understand the veteran space? I've worked with a lot of people in
You
veteran
do have to be able
space.
to articulate it.
Yeah, I work with a lot of people in veteran space that are like, you know, too many civilians running companies, and I'm like, you don't even understand our culture. Like, how do you expect to make a crucial decision on where finances need to go for this person for whatever reason, which for whatever we provide? How are you going to do that if you don't even understand like what they're going through? If you can communicate, if you can relate to that. So, I mean, those are a lot of just a few of the things that I put into perspective when I start dealing with somebody.
Yeah.
And I know one of the big ones that I just saw was another bracelet company. I'm going to throw it up on the screen now in a second. They were selling bracelets saying that the proceeds were going to OEF veterans, and then none of the proceeds actually went there. So here we go here, and it shows you what the layout was, and how the memorial bracelets, it's defunct now, so nobody has to worry about getting robbed by them. But they basically went out there and they sold this mission to everybody, but nobody ever stopped and questioned it and stopped and asked them what's going on. So if you're making a donation to somebody, you have the right to say, hey, what is your organization actually doing? What is the impact that you're making? How are you, you know, changing lives? How are you following your mission statement to do this? Like you guys said earlier, there's so much talk about awareness, but there needs to be more action.
Right. Right. You know what I mean? And it drives me nuts. I'm sure it drives you guys nuts too. I mean, you guys go to events just like I do. You know what I mean? And you get to the point where you just get tired of going to events. And you keep working. And I had a good compliment the other day from somebody I work with. Like you're trying to help people change their life. What are these people doing? And I'm like, they're just selling T-shirts. Like that's all they're doing. I've seen this. Travis, you've seen it. Mike, you've seen it. I've seen this model over and over and over and over and over. You know what I mean? Just suicide prevention. No, no. You're
Mm-hmm.
just selling shit, and you're just passing money from this person to that person, and you're just recreating things that have already been done with awareness. All right. Are you sending your veterans to a suicide class for mental health first aid, which is available in Massachusetts through Plymouth County Suicide Coalition? The VOA gives those classes. Are you educating them? Are you meeting with the family? Are you seeing who the enabler is? Are you getting them into addiction programs? Are you getting them into home base? I just sent a veteran to Project Rush in Chicago. That's prevention. You're trying to prevent the next episode happening. Just meeting for one day and doing something is just like a police officer and fireman. It's just up, down, cool. Oh, it's cool for a day, and then I'm still back in my spot. You know what I mean?
No.
So
I mean, giving somebody a pamphlet's one thing, and being there to pick up a call and bring them to sit face to face with somebody to actually work on their problem is completely
yeah,
different.
go cry. There's nothing wrong with it. Like that's how therapy works. Go cry, go talk, go speak to somebody. Every single veteran I work with, I don't just do their claim for them or help them or advise them. I make sure that they're getting into a program, right? Start getting them into something, listening to someone else that's been through that shit, and kind of having that safe boundary line and stern boundary line of just, I'm not going to do your case unless you do X, Y, and Z, and that's why I have a good success rate because I don't let my veterans walk on me. You know what I mean? After you've been doing this for a long time, you just you got to draw that healthy line because someone drew that for me at one point, and that's what changed my life. You know what I mean?
No,
So, like when you said you guys
because
wanted to
it
talk about
definitely does.
nonprofits, I was
Guys have to
stoked.
be able to want to help themselves.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, and like I was stoked when you said you wanted to talk about nonprofits because I'm like, man, that's why I work with a lot of ones out of state because the ones inside the state of Massachusetts are just they're fighting over the same piece of pie. It's the same people doing the same things that we've seen before over the years, and it's like, how about we go into the woods and go take the strongest medicine on earth and go talk to God? How about we do that? You know what I mean? Drastic change requires drastic change. You know what I mean? You're not going to snap out of that. The issues that we have of depression, anxiety, and the heavy weight of that, unless you make a drastic change to face it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like the other thing
What,
that I see too with nonprofits is a lot of it's like self, grandizing, and like a lot of like, look at me, what I'm doing, and like
Yeah,
these guys, yeah, they pat themselves on the back, and these
yeah,
big, conventions, and these things that they do, and it's like everything's worked up to that. Like I was looking at the top 10 executives for DAV. I'm going to pick on them tonight. But like each one of them got a bonus between $37,000 and $59,000 for the year. And it's like, they're using that based off of, you know, the Better Business Bureaus, what executives in other similar industries get. That's why they're giving themselves those bonuses. And it's like, but how do they calculate that? How do they, say that they met the mission? It's like the mission tasks, when they're the ones determining if they met mission or not, and then giving themselves a bonus, it's real shady.
Go ahead, Charles.
So one thing that I also want to just bounce off both of you is my other concern is, hey, us veterans are getting older. Like the median age of veterans in the state of Massachusetts is 67, which means in another 5 to 10 years, and the Vietnam era veterans are dying off at a faster rate than the World War II veterans did. So what happens realistically as soon as 4 to 12 years from now, when the number of veterans really decreases in this country and in the state, it's going to become I'm not trying to be, it's going to become a bloodbath for that donation dollar, or it's going to start folding because there's no veterans to serve. Is that a reality that we're going to get to a point where we don't have anybody to really work with unless we, I hate to say this, get in a war?
Right. I mean, I just had this conversation the other day, and you guys might know. Travis knows a little bit more. We worked a little bit more, Mike, on some of this stuff. Like I've met with a
Mhm.
lot of senators and 3 senators, 2 state reps, and none of them listened to like what I was telling them about VBMS and how VSOs can't do anything and all this crap. And now I got my town is sending me and my VSO to accreditation training again so I can get reaccredited, right? And it just seems like I keep hearing it from people. They just keep saying when I explain what's going on, they're like, it's almost like it's designed to fail. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Like if people actually understood that you have to be an accredited person down at a veteran service offices to be able to even get somebody their benefits, and that's not happening anywhere in Massachusetts right now. That should be making people infuriated. You know what I mean? It just should. Um, and I've just never stopped fighting that. You know what I mean? Because it has to change. And once I get that computer, I'm gonna do a whole podcast on it. Travis, I'll invite you down so you can film it and be like, hey, boom, look at this. Like, yeah, this is the problem. Because I think people don't realize that the VA is not a real hospital. It's a plug and play. It's a band-aid. It's here's your problem today. Go fucking deal with it yourself. And since I've taken my healthcare out of the VA, I've gotten way way better healthcare. I'm getting mental health. I'm getting all the same stuff I was in the VA. You know what I mean? But just I mean the amount of shit and bull crap that we have to deal with that we can't get people to listen to. You know what I mean? And then you get all these nonprofits and masses going, "Yay, hurrah!" and they're just not doing anything, right? So I like to use this term service provider. What services are you providing? Are you actually providing mental health? Are you actually providing, you know, uh, medicinal modalities? Are you actually providing a service thought? Are you actually providing, like therapy sessions? And I don't see a lot of these nonprofits doing it. They're not providing any services other than selling shit.
Other than fundraising for themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a while ago,
And I don't
I
condone
learned. I
smoking.
mean,
I'm sorry. I'm gonna smoke. It's been a fucking long day.
No worries, man.
I had to, learn this a while ago about the term foundation versus nonprofit
Ah,
versus
yeah.
veteran service organization. A foundation doesn't really do anything. They can raise as much money as they want and dole it out to whoever is in their, charter or bylaws. So I'm like, hey, you really got to look at what a foundation has done in the last 5 years. Who have they given money to? And if they really aren't sure, aren't clear, or can't really, tell you, you might not want to do anything with them. Well, that's mean. I'm like, well, no. I mean, that's a lot of money to be sitting on in their kitty doing nothing.
Absolutely.
You have to ask these hard questions whether you want to or not.
I mean, I had this organization, and Mike's actually worked with them in the past. I'm not gonna name him. It doesn't matter. But like, I do the vetting for the service dog company that I work with, right? I vet if the recipient is qualified, look at the paperwork, meet with the family. Are they emotionally stable? Do they have a yard? Do they have right? And I had this one veteran who I've been dealing with for like 7 years, and he was in special operations. And his "I Love You" book is like this thick of just awards. Okay. And I had a sibling of this nonprofit go, well, guys like that, they don't like to go get mental health. They don't like this. His records are fake. And I'm like, you have zero freaking training on any of this. You're gonna tell me after I've sat in another state and done hours in front of judges and I do this every single day. You're gonna tell me that I don't know what I'm doing? You don't. You're just a family member of somebody. You don't know shit from Shinola. You know what I mean? So like I've run into that too, where it's just people really need to be educated on how it is to be a veteran, how it is to go through this process of, trying to become a disabled vet if that's your case, and then managing the veteran space where like which company is actually doing really good things for me. You know what I mean? And I just try to focus on the actual healing and helping of people. It's very unsexy. You have to deal with a lot of crap. You got to meet with a lot of families. People are happy with you, then they're mad, then they're happy. Once they get their stuff. But like I try to make sure that they always continue to go on the path of recovery through programs rather than just, hey, show up and give me $20 and buy a t-shirt. I'm just like, I ain't
Right.
fucking doing that.
No. And like the other thing that like I saw was like uh you know when it gets things that get measured get done making sure that there's no you know bullshit behind it, that if they have a mission, that they're following that mission statement and not trying to do other things that, like you said, can be more sexy and can be more, you know, easier to raise funds off of. You see a lot of times that people will start with one mission and then they kind of convert their thing to be like more like all the other nonprofits because they see them making money, and they, instead of doing their service what they originally wanted to do and how they originally wanted to help the community, they start taking from other people's pot, and
They're
doing the
not
easy
staying in
way to
their lane.
fundraise.
They're not staying in their lane.
Yeah.
Their area of expertise. Yeah.
And like, one, you're not supposed to do that. Well, changing your mission statement and things like that. And, two, it's just, you become, the same as everybody else. And then you just have a bunch of organizations that aren't doing anything again.
Go ahead, T.
Well, I just the bad is out there, and the bad is bad. But do you, besides your nonprofit, Sean, do you have an example of a nonprofit, let's say here or outside messages, that you really like? Hey, these people have it right. They sure they make money, sure they raise money, but man, that when you give $1, 98 cents of that dollar is going right back to the veteran. Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah, at my church, the retreat I'm going down to in Texas. Be the third time I'm going down. It's with a shaman. She does medicinal retreats, and
How do you spell it?
every ATMA at my church, all things medicine something. I forget what the last A stands for. Sorry, Whitney. But like when you go there, I've never been in the presence. Like I thought I knew what love was until I was in the presence of people that I used to judge. Like people that look like the earthy crunchy and hippies and this and that, and they're all wearing sundresses and stuff like that. But like I went there with multiple veterans. I did a documentary on it. I can share it. And then my employee John, my partner John, he also went down a second time with two brothers. One was paralyzed from an accident. The other one was in special forces, and they went, and like that medicine just pulls your trauma out, right? Like it pulls out everything that's wrong, whether you like it or not. And every single dollar goes towards you being in, like, the last time we went, it was on a 400-acre ranch. Okay, there's cleaning people that come in, the medicine's all there. It's fully funded. They feed you. Um, Warrior's Heart, also for addiction for alcohol. And like another one I work with is Warrior SOAR, SOAR, Support Outreach Assistance Recovery. They get people down to play fantasy baseball with the Red Sox and multiple Major League Baseball teams. And the Major League Baseball players are your coach. You get a full uniform. You get to use the PT tables. They're rubbing your legs, giving you massages before each game. They do a golf tournament while you're there. They do a fishing tournament while you're there. And like every single, they have 3 boats up on Lake Champlain. And if you want to go use the boat, you got to learn how run the masts and the sails if you want to get out there and go swimming. And I've had great responses from my veterans that I've taken up there. And you can see that every dollar goes, it goes where it's supposed to go, instead of a lot of nonprofits that we see here en masse that just keep selling stuff, and it's like, well, you just keep running events. Like where are the, okay, so the veterans went skydiving. All right, that's one day. Cool. How did that prevent suicide? It just didn't. You know what I mean? So I like to work with companies like that, because if I see if the money's not going where it's supposed to, and again, like I said, I take no paycheck in my nonprofit, because how am I supposed to instill faith in somebody else and another veteran to donate to my product when they see me just buying shit and doing this and giving that person money? They're not going to want to do that, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So it really is, like, following the money is super important, but also look up what the mission statement is of the nonprofit, because like I said before, a lot of nonprofits are fighting over the same piece of pie. And what do you see? Veterans. Who's the biggest hater of a veteran? Another veteran. Like, it's just a grindy
Yep.
space.
And like we said, like, what makes a good one is like having like a clear mission, like the focus to max, being able to, have a specific mission statement that's, says what they're doing, everyone from like the board to the volunteers knows what they're supposed to do and what they're trying to achieve. You don't get that drift, where you're trying to do other things that other people do. If you're providing, therapy for 9/11 veterans, or you're providing, service dogs, or you're providing, recreational activities, or if you have a mission that just says to help veterans, that's going to be a red flag for you. If you look at the statement and it doesn't say something specific, be wary. But if you see a nice organization that's got a nice, precise, one like Bob Woodruff Foundation, they've got a good thing going on there, and I know Semper Fi Fund, it's got a really good rating and history. It looks like we lost Sean for, but there's so many good ones out there too that, like, I don't want to say that there's so much bad that's out there and everything, and like we have seen the bad ones make all the news is what's unfortunate about it.
Well, the bad ones make the news, they make the headlines, and then it just makes it exponentially more difficult for those who are trying to do the right thing. And I'm not saying you got to be a big nonprofit. I'm not saying you got to be a powerful nonprofit. But I am asking you to be an effective nonprofit, and I am asking donors to look at who's doing the hard, brutal, hard work, and being the veterans where they are, and who is not, and then support those who are really, embracing our fellow veterans.
Like, look at like the Fisher House, for example. They put up families of the wounded, nearby the hospital, so that they're able to stay there. They're able to take care of their loved one while they're going through the healing process.
Yeah.
That's an organization that's very well defined, that's focused on their mission, and they're making sure that the funds that are actually going out to ensure the care of the veteran and the family members. I know, like I said, Semper Fi and America's Fund, they spend over 95% of their funds that come in go back out on their programs.
Yeah.
The Gary Sinise Foundation is another great one.
Yeah.
they have all sorts of programs, and they continue to come up with new and different ones. I know a few years back they had like a program when you came back from overseas. If you want to go out and start applying for jobs, you could apply to a program that they had, and they would buy you a suit, so that way you could go and look professional in your job interviews.
Yep.
And just the different programs like that really do make a difference and help out everybody in the end by being focused and having something out there to share.
For sure. For sure.
And
Ooh.
the other thing too is like the one other thing I just wanted to say is like when you look at it, like you can go to the different websites like the charity watchdog and things like that, but a lot of those are also trying to fight for money and things like that. They want you to subscribe to them, and they want you to get a membership for $50 for the year, things like that. The best thing you can do is just straight ask the organization what they're doing to make an impact and how your money is going to help that mission.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else, Mikey?
Sean says he's going to be hopping back on, but in the interim, what do you got going on tonight on Oscar Mike Radio?
Well, speaking of nonprofits, this is a different kind of nonprofit, which is why I had this Marine on Oscar Mike Radio. His name is Logan Spiewak out of Pennsylvania. He got out of the military and really embraced strength training, physical fitness as a way to, build a community and combat PTSD. And he has done it. He runs the Boots to Health Foundation in Central Pennsylvania and has been doing it for a couple of years now. And, we'll get with a veteran, meet them where they are, figure out what their physical limitations are, what their physical goals are, and then as a free 12-week program, they run them through to get them better. And, when that veteran knows he's got to show up, work out, but he's going to get coached, he's going to get supported, it's a better outcome than just, show up for my run, march, hike, ruck, whatever, motorcycle ride and go home.
Yeah.
So, and Logan could be doing anything else, but he's doing this. So that's what's going on for Omar.
Sean, are you in here with us? Let me
respond
again.
I can see you guys.
All right, perfect.
He went camo with the dark.
I did. I think my kids, I'm going inside because they're going to practice now, but I think my kids, we just got them phones for the first time at the age of 13 because I don't want them having social media or any of that crap. And I think, anytime they try to do something, they're just, logging on stuff like, hey. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, guys, the internet works a certain way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I know the big thing too. There's another organization down in Texas. I helped a guy get started. It was Project Heroes First, and he says the amount of veterans and nonprofits down in Texas, he said, are just unbelievable with the amount that aren't doing anything, and the amount that people try to take their status as a vet or whatever they did in the military and act like it makes them a better person than somebody else down there. And that's the other thing that people need to realize is that what you did in the service is great, but in the end it only matters to yourself. And while you're in, when you're out, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole other fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can get Sean back in here for a closing word.
Right there. Yeah, I do. I'd like to share at my church because, like I said, and I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions. I'll ask them individually.
Absolutely.
But the same question to both of you is I'll start with Travis. Because, Travis, I know you do a lot of listening podcasts and stuff just like me. You've heard about the Ibogaine stuff and all that stuff. What are your... I've been to the retreat already twice. But I want to know, what your thoughts are and, what your opinions are and stuff like that. And and if you ever wanted to go, because I am someone that can make that happen.
So I talked to Martin and Boaz, who had an Ibogaine center in Canada and the U.S. Boaz served in the IDF, and Martin, did research in Canada, and they explained it where in minimal treatments, minimal impact with minimal side effects. In other words, you're going to feel like really weird while you're there. It really helps you release the trauma that you've been carrying. And my first thought was, well, okay, why aren't we campaigning to get this in the United States if it's so effective? I think
Texas just signed a law. Texas signed a law that now it's legal in Texas.
Well, Texas, yes, they were talking about Texas, Sean, how Texas was like going to do this because for whatever reason, people, I didn't think Texas was going to do it, but they did. But it's just like, I lump Ibogaine into HBOT therapy, Ibogaine, right? These kind of treatment modalities that really try to fix the person instead of just here's a pill, here's to your point, here's a good time. We're going to give you a good time for a weekend and send you home. And then you're sitting there in your apartment all by yourself for their 364 days. So, my thing was they told me I wasn't really a good match for it because I didn't have the PTSD trauma. But certainly there are people I know that Sean, we run the same circles who would greatly benefit from that. And I'm like, hey, if you give a chance to do this, you should and be well, man. So that's kind of how I look at it.
You know what? Anyone that said that you're not a good fit for it, I don't think they should have told you that, because I think a lot of us in the military, we've now found out that a lot of us had childhood trauma, like some of us severe childhood trauma. You know what I mean? And I wanted to ask you a question, Travis, after this about HBOT, but also let you know that, like, I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. I do believe in a higher power. But when I tell you that I went and had a conversation with God that day and cried tears of joy that I've never had in my life, man, I mean it. You know what I mean? But what is HBOT therapy? I haven't heard of that before.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Oh, okay. All right.
And there's a bunch of people who've done a lot of study on it and who are trying to, because I talked to Frank Larkin, whose son was in the Navy SEAL, killed himself, and he's compiling research to show that your body, your brain experiences physical trauma every time you hear a gun, right? And we didn't have this until the Civil War and World War I, when guns got exponentially more powerful. And so when like a mortar, like you've seen the mortar videos go off, that sends a shockwave through your body. So it's a physiological thing too, not just an emotional thing. So I'm for it all. I want people to get healing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Mikey?
The big thing that I see that's happening, and also in Mass right now, is in Somerville they're actually decriminalizing mushrooms, so they'll be able to have people be able to order mushrooms and get them and be able to microdose and things like that, to be able to peel back those layers of the onion. And the thing that I saw you go through, Sean, and the experience that you were able to share with us through the videos that you shared, I feel like you were able to just get right in the middle of that onion, pull it right in half, instead of taking it little by little. And like you
Yeah.
actually see physically the change, like from the start of the weekend or the week. I'm not sure how long the program actually was.
It's like four
but,
days. Yeah. Doesn't give you an option. The medicine, you can't control it. And that's the beautiful thing, is like, if you just go in arms open and go, you know what, I'm here. Like the first day you do a couple medicines, you're on water soluble diet, you throw up for like 5 minutes and it's just all water. And then the second day is psilocybin, but it's not like, hey, let's all go take mushrooms and sit around. There's a fire breathing award-winning DJ that puts a mask on your face so you have no visual, and then you have a headset on with music with no words. and he gets you into a breathing pattern that makes the medicine stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I ever saw the curve of the earth. And there was a woman that was sitting next to me, and we're both lying down in beds. And we're at dinner later on that night, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm like, Melissa, were you on that like red wave on the curve of the earth with me?" And she's like, "You saw that?" Like it's insane. And then that just
Mm-hmm.
preps you for 5-MeO DMT, the last day, which is, it's not DMT, it's 5-MeO DMT. It's actually the secretions from a toad's back, that we used to hear as kids, and they harvest it from, the deserts of like Arizona all the way down to New Mexico. And the shaman's there, and she's got music going, and she's got stuff, and you manifest what you want to discuss when you're going to do this medicine. Everything's in prep for the last day, and that only it lasts like, you take like two hits. You take like one hit and it lasts like 20 minutes. You take another hit and it lasts like another 25 minutes. And man, I came out of that. I was fully engulfed in sweat. I was crying. I was laughing. I was smiling. I was saying to the shaman, "What the hell am I supposed to do with my life now that that's gone?" Like, you don't have an option. It just pulls the trauma out. Like, if you've ever watched Star Wars, you see the Millennium Falcon go to hyperspeed and it's just white lights and it's gone. I was
Yep.
on, I was looking at planet Earth within 5 seconds, floating, just going, wow. And then boom, God was in my face. Like, and there was two versions of God. There was a male and a female. And the male was very authoritarian, like, "Hey, we're taking this right now. I'm so glad you're here, but like, I'm taking it, son." And you're like, "Whoa." And then I've never said this before, like that retreat, but then like the male version shifted and the female version came forward, and it was like colorful. It was like a rainbow, and it was like a Spanish woman's face. And she said, "It's okay, we're taking this right now, but I'm here with you. I'm not going to leave you." So
Yeah.
you felt very protected. And when I came
Mm-hmm.
out of that, I was able to formulate the words of my most severe trauma and get everything out in full sentences. And then my body was in such shock. I had sweat through my t-shirt. I was in a spiritual war, and it was, I've now done the retreat twice, going to do it a third time, and there are people I went with last time that had been through more severe things than me. And this man Jeff from Louisiana didn't talk to us for 2.5, 3 days, and he went and he did the Bufo dive game, and he came out of there crying and laughing, saying the first words he had said to us all week, and he said, "Everybody on Earth needs to go do that. What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "What?" Like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought I knew what love was. That medicine taught me to love myself finally and stop beating myself up. And it took away all pain, And then there's also, we had a couple people there that are like addiction specialists and stuff. And there is a picture that in my documentary, and I'm going to share it, Mike, in the private chat you asked me for. And it's a
Yep.
45-minute documentary. And in the documentary, it shows a picture of the human brain, and let's just say like a human brain circle, whatever, and it has, let's just say, like 87 lines in different colors, and that's your brain activity. Your brain activity on psilocybin and bufo or ibogaine, there's like 700 lines. Your brain's fully activated. The other side of your brain's you're in tune with things that you didn't even know that you were in tune with. So anybody that I ever take down, I go, "Hey, go watch this documentary so you can see what it's about." And you're in safe hands. Like, nobody can die from this medicine. It's done great things for veterans, and it's one of the best things I think I ever did for myself. And I'm going down again because it's like, "Oh, why do you have to go do it again? Didn't it work the first time?" It's like, well, there's levels to it, right? Like, I was going through a lot of shit. My
Yep.
brother had just died, this, and this. So every time I was like, good, I got pulled back a little bit. It was like 5 steps forward, only like 1.5 back. And I just want to get the full 5 steps forward. So when I snapped my knee, I almost lost my leg this last year. I got infected on this surgery, and I was like in bed for 3 months. I couldn't walk. My face is fat as shit right now. Like, I've gained 30 pounds, and I want to go back down and be like, I'm good now. Like, I'm finally just, I'm good. And I want to go talk to God again, because I tell you what, there's no experience on this planet Earth that I've ever experienced in my entire life that will even come close to what you feel, and how joyful you feel, and how trauma gets pulled out of you, and how happy you are. Like, I just, love life now, where I used to just be miserable.
And we definitely want to share that on our pages afterwards. So definitely, send me the link so we can share the documentary, and we can also share, the information if folks are interested to contact you to find out more about the retreat.
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now. I'm getting the link right now.
Absolutely. And Travis, I know you've got Oscar Mike in 7 minutes.
Yep, I gotta get ready to go OMR. So, Sean, great seeing you. Good
You
stuff.
too,
Great.
brother. I miss your face, man. We got to link up for lunch again soon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just
40 miles.
pasted that for both of you to share. Watch. I also have a minute-long trailer. I'll share that real quick, and then if like I said, I just got scholarships for this stuff, and this is going to be a continuing thing because now we have some wealthy donors. I mean, the first house I went to with this program. Oh, here's the last most important thing: when you go do this retreat too, it's not just like 4 days, cool, you're done. They, I was in like Tony Robbins' right hand, like his team's on this, and we were at his house. So after you do the retreat for 60 days, you have what's called integration. So integration is you go on every day. They have a computer program, and it's like takes 5 to 7 minutes. Watch a video, check things, and it gets you to stay like starting. Keep doing your grounding, keep doing your medication. Oh, I'm sorry, your meditation, and things like that. And every week, every person that was at the retreat, we all meet on a certain day. Say it's Monday, and we sit there and talk for an hour. And when you get to see those faces, and you've shared an experience like that for 60 days, that's why like I mean, you guys know like if a veteran goes into a detox like 28 days, like no, you need 60 or 90. They make sure that they are on your ass for 60 freaking days. And you start to change your life. Like and the reason why is because this medicine, what they don't tell you until you leave, and I'll leave you with this, is they go, don't go home and smoke weed and smoke cigarettes and this. And it's like, well, why? Because all of your body's receptors were reset.
Oh,
Joy,
wow.
sleep, happiness, yeah, taste, smell, sound. They're all reset. And you're like, I can see clear, I can smell. I was like, what the fuck? And it's just a life. It's the only thing that I found as a veteran, and I've gone to home base. I've had people sent to Project Rush. It's the only thing I've found that is a life, mind, body, soul, complete reset. And I would advise
That's
that
awesome.
any veteran go do it.
All right.
All right, folks. Thank you again, Sean, for joining us.
Good to see you,
And
Mike. Travis, miss your face. Both of you guys. Mike. I want to talk to you about a fundraiser, video game stuff that I want to get going. And Travis, I'd love to do lunch and continue this conversation. I mean, like anything either one of you guys need, I've always loved both you guys. Let's get it done. Let's start working together a little bit more.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Take
Thank you
care.
guys
We're
so much.
resilient. We are
Thank you everyone for
war.
joining us tonight. And the
We are
link
war.
is in the chat. We'll post them on the websites as well. We are war.